Thanks for joining. Today, we're going to be taking a look at our top ATS picks specifically for franchises, and that includes everything from small chains to big brands. Now, hiring for one store is tough enough, but hiring for 10, and that is a whole different kind of chaos. And that comes with its own complications, complexities, and hiring needs that may be specific for your stores. Now, if you're juggling jobs, posts, resumes, and all the managers screaming that their hire is the most urgent, you will likely need a great applicant tracking system or an ATS to help manage that process. Now, we've tested some of the best known hiring platforms specifically for franchise owners, and today I'm going to break down which ones are actually worth your time and money. Now, before we dive into the list, it's important to remember why you should use an ATS at all. Now, keep in mind that a good ATS can help keep your hiring process consistent across every store, and you do want to keep things like fairness in terms of recruiting processes at the top of mind. You can also give hiring managers some autonomy without losing corporate oversight, and think about posting once and sharing everywhere so that you do not have duplicate listings. Now, another one to keep in mind is tracking who's hiring faster or slower and where your best applicants come from so that you can target those stores specifically. You do want to also keep in mind staying compliant with the labor laws and regulations, and a great way to do that is to use an ATS to help you manage that process. Now, what I specifically look for in an ATS before choosing the right platform is, of course, number one, ease of use on our list. Now, you do not want to spend a lot of time upskilling different hiring managers across different stores. You do want to make sure that your ATS is simple and easy to use and straightforward. Another one, of course, is multi-location management because you need to see everything without micromanaging the process. Now, mobile access can also be one of those important factors to consider because a lot of your applicants are applying using a mobile phone, and some ATSs do not lend themselves well to that process. So do keep that in mind. We do look for ease of use when it comes to mobile applications as well. Of course, automation is really super important. Now, things like interview scheduling may not be important for you, or perhaps it is. Keep in mind that different functionalities will come with different tools, and those specific functions may be important for you. So have a look at our top selections and which core functionalities, like reminders, resume parsing, and all of that will make hiring less of a grind in the long run. Now, a big one for me that doesn't seem so obvious is transparent pricing. Now, I hate it when, like I said here, you just have to book a demo to find out that it's $500 a month per user. And that can become quickly expensive and can spiral costs out of control. This is where I do like to keep in mind the costing. I do choose tools that have transparent pricing so that I can be ensured that if I scale, that costs will not skyrocket. Let's take a quick look at our top picks for ATSs for franchises. Now, number one on our list is Ninja Gig, and I would say it's probably the best overall that I've seen and that I've come across. Now, within 30 minutes of testing, you could get your branded career page live, and you can get listings for multiple stores or locations up and running within a few clicks. I really like the tool. It really isn't that hard to get to grips with. Um, Now, I do find a lot of the other tools do take quite a bit of configuration before you kind of get to the right functionalities within the tool. And this is not one of those tools. I really like it. Super simple. Now, each branch can handle its own applicant. So what is really great is you still have everything feeding into one dashboard. You've got that overall view across the tool, which is really like. I also like that you can customize the application templates, and you can even add things like digital signatures. That means that you can ditch things like paper onboarding entirely, which saves a ridiculous amount of time. And one of the biggest and most important things is that they do job board integration with really popular job boards such as ZipRecruiter, Indeed, Monster, and many more. Now, this can become quite costly if you are managing this process yourself. So I would recommend looking into that functionality specifically when you are looking at ATS, that they have job board syndication set up and ready to go for you. Now, overall, Ninja keeps it really simple. I really like that they do have transparent pricing. $49 per month or $490 for the year with unlimited job postings is really hard to beat. And that is why they are at the top of my list. So if you are looking at a really simple, easy to use, straightforward ATS, especially for your franchises, this is a good option to have a look at. Now, next on our list is Workstream. Workstream is a really great option, ideally for restaurants or retail franchises that need to hire fast. Now, it's mobile first, so I'll give them that. They really do focus on the mobile experience, which is really great. And it's really got an awesome text to apply feature where candidates can literally start an application by SMS. So that can be really powerful, especially if you are recruiting for people who maybe don't have a paper resume on hand and that do need a really simple and quick way to apply just through something like an SMS functionality. Now, when I tested it with just a simple cafe jobs, I found the applicants rolled in within minutes, which is really cool. And if your team hires hourly workers, this kind of speed can be really important and can really change the game for you. Now, pricing is custom, so you'll have to book a demo, but if hiring is your top priority, I would recommend having a look at Workstream. It's a really strong choice for that. Now, next on our list is Hierology, and they're probably the best pick, I would say, for large service franchises. Now, in terms of the ATS itself, it is not just a standalone ATS, it's more of a full HR platform. Now, for some organizations who are just looking for something straightforward and simple, I would say this is probably a bit too much in terms of their service offering. However, if you are a growing business and you do need additional functionalities within the tool, they are a good platform to have a look at. Now, it does handle applicant tracking, onboarding, things like background checks, and even payroll. So something like this could be super powerful if you are a growing business and you do want to avoid having disparate systems, have it all within the same tool. They are a good option to have a look at. Now, I would say specifically like automotive, healthcare, and different franchises in that sort of space, it's a really good tool to have a look at. They've also got some powerful compliance tools which can be especially useful. And it handles everything from documentation, tracking, right through to automated reminders. So again, if that's something that you are needing in terms of your business, that's a good option to have a look at. Now, the downside is that they are on the pricier side. So it's probably better for larger setups, and do keep that in mind while you are looking at tools like this. Now, one of the options that do come up time and time again, and you probably would have seen it before if you are looking at ATSs, is Jazz HR, and they are probably one of the better budget options out there. Now, if you are running a smaller or growing franchise and you don't need all the extra bells and whistles, Jazz HR is a really good platform to have a look at. Straightforward, it's affordable, and it gets the job done. And you can create different workflows for each location. You can manage approvals and even use email templates for communications, which is really great. I found that quite a powerful tool. It does help automate a lot of the processes that can be quite time consuming. Now, at plans starting at just around $75 a month, it's one of the easiest systems to train managers on. So if that is a goal for you, do have a look at Jazz HR. Now, we're not going to take a deep dive into all the tools that we have out there, but I do want to give special mention to some of these that we do have on our list. And one of those is Team Taylor. They are really great for multi-brand franchises that are focused on strong employer branding. Now, they have a kind of look and feel that feels more like a social media kind of setup. And they are really, really great for, I would say, mostly advertising agencies, but they can work quite well in terms of restaurants and franchise space. And again, if you are a restaurant that's strongly focused on branding and corporate identity, these are a good option for you to have a look at. And you can see that you've got a lot of functionality within the tool to manage a lot of the branding videos, and kind of a bit more fun and funky feel compared to your kind of standardized ATS options. Now, another one on the list is Breezy HR, also super great option for small teams who want something to collaborate on. Um, like most of the tools out there, they also have a 14-day free trial, which is really great. But they do pack a lot of punches in the tool itself, so do have a look at them. Again, if you are looking for something really simple and if you're a small tool who's really focused on collaboration. Now, another one on the list is Workable, and much like some of the other tools out there that are more of the bigger brand ATSs that kind of handle a bit of everything. Workable is great. They're super easy to use. I've used them quite extensively. Um, Again, takes just a few minutes to get set up on their system. And they can even set you up with a demo kind of data input so that when you get started, if you're not too sure what to do and kind of how everything should look, you can use their tools to give you a bit of a look and feel in terms of the platform itself, which I quite like. Now, they do have things like AI assisted applicant screening and that kind of thing, which I think is really stand out in terms of the tool itself. And you can do things like one-way video interviews and interview scheduling all within the tool. Now, they are a little bit more pricey, so do keep that in mind if you are looking at an option like this, but they do kind of manage a bit of everything in terms of the full HR functionality. So time off, things like time and attendance tracking, payroll, all handled within the tool. Next on our list is Fountain. Now, Fountain handles high volume hiring like cleaning or delivery services quite well, and they be a good transfer over into the franchise space as well. And they are really focused on AI powered automation within the tool. So if that's important to you, do have a look at them. Next on the list is Recruity. Now, again, really awesome, very similar to Breezy HR for me from the little that I have used them. Again, a really great free trial available. So if you're not too sure, I would recommend giving them a bit of a spin. But they are perfect if you're looking at collaborating between different franchise groups, especially if you've got things like regional managers that do need to keep in check with each other and manage the recruitment process. They do have a lot of additional functionality. So again, things like integrating into job aggregators like Indeed or Google Jobs, all can be handled within the tool, which is always a huge plus for me. Now, last but certainly not least on our list is Zoho Recruit. And if you already make use of any Zoho tools, they are a great option for you. That is one thing Zoho loves Zoho. So if you do use things like their payroll, for example, and you do need an ATS that plugs into it quite well, I would recommend giving them a look. They are probably requiring someone who's a little bit more tech savvy, though I will say. But overall, just a really solid tool to have a look at. Now, in terms of choosing the right tool for your business, that all comes down to your functionalities, how much control you want, and how complex your hiring process is. So in my opinion, I would say if you're just getting started, something like Ninja Gig or Breezy HR is a perfect fit, especially if you're a franchise business that is looking at controlling costs. However, if you're scaling across multiple regions, you need advanced analytics and additional functionalities. I would look at something like Workable or Hierology. That would probably make a bit more sense. Now, remember the goal is to find a system that helps you hire fast without losing consistency or control. Hopefully, our review helps you make a selection that makes sense for your business. Thanks for joining.